It's time for week 5. Let's step into the huddle.
585, ready.
You're listening to the PreSnap podcast brought to you by LineStar App, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now here are your hosts, fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P. Joe Pisapia, and welcome to the PreSnap right here on the LineStar app. It is me, it is Scott Bogman, and it's you, and we're breaking down week 5 in the NFL courtesy of the LineStar app, the best DFS tool site out there. And believe me, I'm the biggest tool out there, so I know tools when I see them. And again, we're so happy to be here talking DFS, talking NFL, and it's a fascinating week, Boggs, because not only is there lots of COVID stuff going on, we've also got our first week of actual buys, the true buys. And it's also fascinating because the way the matchups and the pricing is structured, especially on the FanDuel side, there is a ton of value at running back, and we're also missing tier guys. So, because of what you're looking at normally just with the buys, right? You're not going to have Rodgers and Jones. You're not going to have Kenny Golladay. You also might be out Patriots at this point as we're recording this. We don't know what's going on. Who knows what's going to go on with Tennessee and Buffalo. That is in jeopardy. Plus the injuries to Chubb and CMC and the injuries that have gone out there, obviously earlier on to Saquon Barkley. The field of play is very different than it looked just a couple weeks ago. And it really yields itself to a lot of value. And I think my biggest takeaway so far making lineups is it opens the door for paying up for quarterback this week.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. It's a really, really good point to make. Obviously, last week I had the running back strategy because the running backs were down. I think there's some actually decently priced RBs this week. So I'm off of that a little bit, but you're right. I think in the majority of my lineups, I think maybe one or two I found a deal because I do like Teddy Bridgewater this week against the Falcons.
Oh, sure.
But
he's like the one. There's one or two. But other than that, man, you look at the landscape and, you see the way Lamar's matchup looks, the way Kyler Murray's matchup against the Jets look. I mean, there's some stuff out there that is really, really tempting. And, just going to hit it real quick. Guys like Mike Davis and Robinson, even Mark Ingram against Cincinnati. There's all these opportunities here where, you don't have to go crazy there. But you're right. Minshew, Bridgewater, those are a couple of the cheaper guys. But just generally speaking, man, it does really allow. And look, even tonight, not tonight, but, of the night game, Seattle and Minnesota, you're taking away Dalvin Cook, you're taking away Russ Buss, you're taking away all of that. And all of those Seattle pieces that we've been using every single week. So it is a very different landscape in week 5 this week. Yeah,
it's going to be a weird one. I think that, honestly, I feel like the Titans are going to get canceled again from what we know.
It feels like it
right now.
I think they're going to forfeit that game. That's what it's going to feel like. And I'm going to make that prediction here. So we'll see what happens. But if that report is correct, they should forfeit that game because all they're asking you to do is follow the rules and the protocol for the health and safety of everybody. And this is not a hot take, okay?
Right.
It's just a terrible job by everybody. And look, I don't want to hear about their competitive nature and all this stuff and how they want to try to still. No, they put this in place for a reason. It's for everybody's health and safety, not just yours, but the other people on the other teams as well, and the NFL as a whole. And it's very frustrating. And I know they might have meant well, but this was like if this is true, and as we're recording this, we're still in the if process, but if it is, man, this is a bad job by the Titans.
Yeah, it does not look good for that game. So I think I'm going to avoid that game for the most part, even though I really wanted Devin Singletary in it. But yeah, I think that's the one that's going to get moved. I think most everything else is going to be preserved here. We'll see, though. I mean, Stephon Gilmore comes down with it. There's all kinds of pictures of him hanging out with Patrick Mahomes after the game. So I don't know, man.
And now Mahomes is sleeping in a different bedroom than his wife. I mean, he's got 12 bedrooms in that house from that contract. So,
well, yeah. I mean, come on.
He's got a day bedroom. He's got a nap room. He's got an evening bedroom.
He probably already had a COVID room ready to go. So he's fine.
So, I mean, that's really scary stuff, for Mahomes. So we'll look, our job is to try to give you the best information we possibly can so you feel confident going out there and building lineups. And so far, so good this year. So, look, you have to keep up and be diligent, obviously, as the season goes on and continues and the week goes on and continues. But let's kick things off here and let's start with the Atlanta Falcons, the winless Atlanta Falcons, hosting the Carolina Panthers. I got to tell you, I love Carolina in this game. I'm with you. Bridgewater's price on FanDuel 71, on DK 59. He is a great GPP quarterback. The ownership percent, it's going to be pretty chalky. It doesn't make it wrong. Mike Davis at 64 on DK and 68 is terrific. You look at the game log of him. I also look, he's actually leading the league in most of the highest percentage of stacked boxes, and he's still putting up fantasy points. How about that? 33% of the time. What do you think of that stat?
I love that one. Give it to me again. 33%
of the time, he is seeing 8+ defenders in the box.
That's Gurley, or is that Davis?
No, that's Mike Davis.
Okay,
Mike Davis.
Yeah,
if you can believe that. And he's still
and that's why he's being used in the passing game a lot as well. So there's a lot to play in this game, Joe, especially in GPPs. You mentioned Teddy Bridgewater. Mike Davis is going to be my pick to score a touchdown this week at running back, by the way. DJ Moore, I think, could get back on the right track. Robbie Anderson has looked great. But on the Falcons side, we also have Calvin Ridley's banged up, and Julio doesn't look like he's going to play.
It doesn't look like it, no.
So not just Russell Gage, but Olamide Zaccheaus from the wideout. He caught 8 catches last week in that garbage time for Atlanta. I think he's bottom of the barrel on DK, 3,000, 4,800 on FanDuel. He's a guy to look at for a tournament play as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. Zaccheaus over Gage, actually. If you're gonna punt all the way.
Yeah, why not?
That's kind of my take on this with the Falcons right now. I don't think Gurley is a terrible play either. I'm fading away from Ridley. He's not 100% either. I'm not saying Ridley's a bad play at 83, though. He has to be a good play, and that's the only thing. We're not talking about $6,600 Calvin Ridley. You're talking about $8,300 Calvin Ridley, and I love Calvin. Everybody knows that. I'm president of the fan club, but still. Right now, it's a little bit more dangerous because of the health. But Gurley at 67 and 57, respectively, on the sites, and not a bad play.
I think Gurley is a great play, and I think Matt Ryan is not a great play this week either. So
I agree.
With potentially two of your your two best wideouts down, I don't think I want to play Matt Ryan. I think I'd rather go Teddy Bridgewater, and he's a cheaper option.
And speaking of Bridgewater, Anderson is really well priced, and you should be aggressive on him this week. I have been a lot of Robbie Anderson. He's 62 on FanDuel, 59 on DK. However, if you do want to get a little strange and a little variation, if you're doing multi-entry, have one DJ Moore lineup too, just in case.
Yeah,
because he's seeing a ton of air yard percentage. He's just not converting anything, and he's not getting touchdowns. He didn't get touchdowns last year either. And look, Anderson seems to be the thing. I was joking. Andrew Erickson came on my show this week, and he said to me, boy, those 2 weeks that Teddy Bridgewater spent in New York with the Jets, him and Robbie Anderson must be best friends. Something must have happened magically there. And I totally forgot about Teddy Bridgewater even being there, for God's sakes. Oh, hysterical. But look, this game has a lot of appeal. I'm with you on Zaccheaus at 3K on DK specifically. I think there's some upside because that allows you a free square like that opens the board. And if he doesn't pan out, it doesn't kill you, but it allows you to get so much in lineups that you'd want to go. So I'm okay with that. Anything else from this game for you?
No, I think we can move on.
Well, listen, I don't even want to get into the Buffalo-Tennessee game because I think it's just a waste of time. I really do. Like, I don't want to waste people's time on the show. If they play, it's like Diggs.
I think Diggs is decent, but the only play I actually like Singletary if Moss is out again against Tennessee's defense. But because if Tennessee does play, they're going to be down at least 2 starters on the defensive line. So if that game does play, I like Singletary. You like Diggs. Not much else to take.
LineStar likes Diggs too. They actually have him as the best value return on investment this week.
Nice
on the LineStar app. So the chances of this, if I had to put a percentage on this game, it's like 25 right now at best.
Yeah. That at very best.
Yeah. And that would be like everyone trying to push things through and everybody else. But I think Buffalo is going to push back, and they should. Buffalo's off to a great start. The last thing they want is to have anybody get ill. And the last thing they want is to be missing their star players. So I see Buffalo making the most pushback about this. And look, it's a shame. Corey Davis just tested positive. I'd love to be starting Derrick Henry. Believe me, I would. I'm a big fan of Derrick Henry, but right now, this is a game that I'm fading away from. You're right about Singletary, especially with Moss being out. That would definitely be a way to go. Let's go on to Las Vegas and Kansas City and keep our fingers crossed for Patrick Mahomes. this week, but there's other quarterbacks I like more. I prefer Lamar and Kyler and Dak this week. Not that anything is wrong with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I actually like him more on DK, believe it or not, at 77 than some of the other high-end quarterbacks. Then I like him on FanDuel. What are your thoughts on Clyde Edwards-Helaire? He had that first great game, and then after that, it's been kind of lackluster. Is this the buyback in game?
This definitely could be, but I think he's priced very appropriately. He's definitely not a deal. So if you're paying for him, you're paying exactly what you should be. So that's okay. So he's not a deal, but yeah, I mean, if you're going up against the Raiders and they have, Mo Hurst for them just went on the COVID list as well. So they have a couple issues on defense. So I could see paying up for him this week. I just don't think I'm going to do it until he blows up again.
Obviously, Hill, Kelsey, all these guys are top of the board. Do you have any love for, a guy like Sammy Watkins, who seems to be getting some attention in the red zone this year?
No, I have love for Mecole Hardman because it's 2 weeks in a row. Mecole Hardman is getting, when he's out there, he's getting the largest target share. He doesn't have the largest because he's not always out there, but when he's on the field, he has the highest target share out of anyone. And, there's a guy that doesn't need a ton of balls to make a play. He can take 175 to the house at any point. So I think we're starting to see what that last year preseason hype was all about. With Hardman. So.
Yeah. And it's all real. I mean, I'm a big fan. And look, I like the Chiefs defense in this game as well. I have the Chiefs, we talked about this a lot, you and I, on Black Book shows about, where were you going for defense at the end of the year? Last year for me, it was all the Patriots defense. This year, it was all the Kansas City defense I could have. And it was because it was two options. Number one, it was free. And number two, it's a good team that was playing better in the second half defensively. And most people don't notice that all the time. They get wrapped up in what the offense is doing on these big runs and things like that. But you know what? It's kind of like New England the year before. A defense coming off a Super Bowl victory is usually a pretty confident one. And they look pretty confident. Darren Waller over on the Vegas side of things is always a good investment at 59 and 68,000 respectively. He's averaging 15 PPR points this year. That's the only real target that I'm excited about. Can't love Jacobs in this game if you think it's going to be the game script of them being behind. Plus, Jacobs is another guy too. Huge first week. Not quite the same guy the last few weeks after that.
Yeah. Well, he got banged up a couple weeks ago and he played through it. But that's, I really don't want much of this offense at all outside of Waller, like you mentioned before. Renfro or Ruggs is not going to play, so it's going to go back to Renfro, Aguilar, and Zay Jones. And Aguilar and Zay Jones had more snaps than Renfro last week, surprisingly. Yeah. So I don't want to mess with any of this outside of Waller because Jacobs is just too banged up.
All right, now this one I like. Get your purse ready, Boggs. Here we go. Kyler Murray, 7,200 against the Jets on DK, 83 on FanDuel. Yes, please. Him and Hopkins, I think, is a great pairing. My two favorite pairings in cash this week are Lamar and Mark Andrews, and of course Kyler Murray and Hopkins. Like it's. I know. Oh, what a genius Joe is. No, but you know what? That doesn't make it wrong. Okay, how many times do we have to go over this? We on the recap show on Tuesday, right? We went through that lineup. How chalky were the lineups that won $1 million? Incredibly chalky. Okay, you just have that right combination of things. Unfortunately, Lockett wasn't the right combination of things, and it didn't work out, right? But Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, lock that up. The running game is really suspect right now. Kenyon Drake's a little banged up. I think there's opportunity here for Chase Edmonds in this game. It would not surprise me if Chase Edmonds actually came away with more points. He's an interesting flex play on DK at 47 because he catches the ball. I wouldn't use him in FanDuel, but at 47, he's one of these guys I circle in multi-entry tournaments as like, he's an interesting flex at 47. What do you think about Edmonds in this contest against the Jets?
Yeah, look, Kirk is banged up. Or Drake, is banged up. So yeah, I like Edmonds, and he's a big, PPR option as well. I'm a little more afraid of Hopkins, I think, because he just didn't look quite 100% last week. He played, and it was kind of early in the week too, where he came out as questionable, and then they said, we're not sure if he's going to play, and he posted that big thing on Twitter, like, if you think I'm not playing, you're out of your mind. So he played and everything, but
it's the Jets.
100%. No, it's the Jets. I know, you're right.
Did you watch what happened with Brett Rippon throwing the ball over the place?
Yes. Yeah, I saw. And
do you know who's playing quarterback for the Jets this week? Joe Flacco.
Yeah, okay, but here's a point to that, and this is
Okay.
why I'm actually in on Jamison Crowder at his cheap price this week.
I want to hear this. Go ahead. Make the argument. I know Le'Veon Bell's back, but I want to hear the Crowder argument. Go for it.
The Crowder argument is that the quarterback play cannot get worse than it has been with Sam Darnold. It just can't. He's been as bad as humanly possible. So I understand they're going to Flacco, and Flacco is old and broken and all that, but he can't play worse than what Sam Darnold was playing. He just can't. It's not a possibility. So,
I don't know, man. I saw a lot of Flacco last year for the Denver Broncos.
You didn't see a lot of him because he wasn't playing that often because he got hurt.
He was also turning and handing the ball off quite a bit.
Right, exactly. So I'm not saying Joe Flacco is good by any stretch of the imagination, especially at this point in his career. All I'm saying is that Crowder's value should not dip because Flacco comes in, because Flacco can't be worse than what Darnold has been already this year. That's all.
All right. Let's go to the next one here. The Battle of Pennsylvania. The Pittsburgh Steelers host the Philadelphia Eagles. Boy, it's a good thing the Eagles got that W when they did, because I do not love them in this game. Oh, my God. Hey, you got offensive line problems? Would you like to meet my friends Bud Dupree and TJ Watt? That'd be fantastic. Why don't you meet them and see how that goes? Give me all of the, as Bogman said on Tuesday, give me all the Steelers defense. It's actually not that bad on FanDuel, especially at 44 on FanDuel and 38 on DK. It's not terrible. I would have thought they'd be top of the charts. Love the Steelers in this one. Love Connor in this game too, especially. He's 7K over on FanDuel. That's a great price. 69 on DK. You have to pay a little bit more for him on the DraftKings in terms of the sliding scale, but he's worth it in the full point PPR, I think. Juju at 67 and 73 is a great bargain, I think, especially on FanDuel. 73 is a great bargain. He should be closer to 8K. And Deontay Johnson at 58 and 56, respectively, also a good one. Do you want to throw a dart at Chase Claypool, or is it just sticking with the main guys this week?
No, I'd stick with the main guys in this one, and I would pay up for Juju instead of cheaping out and taking Deontay this week, because I think Juju's going to get the slot role against Roby Coleman, and Deontay is probably going to get Darius Slay. So he's coming off concussion protocol and all that stuff. So I would much rather go with Juju if I'm picking one this week. Steelers wideout.
Yeah, I'm on the Juju train as well. I'll always be on the Deontay Johnson corner also, but I'll tell you what, I think Ebron's in play too. Cheap tight end over on DK at 4K, 5,100 over on FanDuel. I think he can get a touchdown this week. It would not shock me at all. The Eagles
I would say Connor is the same play as Clyde Edwards-Helaire this week. Would you agree with that?
I'll tell you what, I feel more confident about Connor than I do at Helaire.
I think I do too, but I think they're both priced like exactly appropriate.
They are, but one to me, I feel much, here's the thing. I think I know the Steelers are going to run the ball a certain number of times, whereas I think the unpredictability of Patrick Mahomes and the brilliance of him and the Chiefs offense, I think it becomes a little trickier. But I feel better about the Connor investment this week than Helaire, and it's a great question because they're right there neck and neck. I want nothing to do with the Eagles personally in this one. I think this is going to be a train wreck for them.
Yeah.
So I'm a hard pass. And look, don't get me wrong. I love Miles Sanders. There's a couple weeks already, 2 weeks since he's been back. I was all into the Miles Sanders thing. Nope, not this week. You can have
I'll sit here and make an argument for Jamison Crowder, but I have no argument for any of the Eagles. So that's how bad it's probably.
Not Travis Fulgham.
Nope.
I can't make an argument for Travis.
The pride of Old Dominion. No.
T Fulg. No. Man, you know every guy. Like, it's unbelievable. It is amazing. I could pull off I gotta go find a guy.
I can't get all of them, but I do know a lot of them.
Where'd Eric Ebron go to school?
Ooh, Eric Ebron is a little bit older. I don't think I remember.
This is
hold on.
I've been doing now you're Googling it. No, it's not.
No,
fair.
I'm not. I'm trying to think back, but I don't really remember him.
Welsh is going to absolutely crap himself when he finds out that I stumped you on where did that guy go to college? Because we do this on the show all the time, and Bogman's like immediate on all of them. I can't believe Eric Ebron.
No, Eric Ebron has got me. Where did he go to college?
I have no idea. How would I know that? I could give two craps about
I thought
that.
You were looking at it.
No, I'm not looking at it all. So if you were right, I was just going to believe you. You could have said anywhere, and I would have believed you. That's the glory of you. He went to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
So
that's
probably why you don't know. There you go. All right, let's go to the next one here. Let's go to the Washington football team, who's making a change of quarterback just in time for the Rams to come into town. The Rams really disappointed me last week. I feel a little burned. I will always be in the Robert Woods business, 64 and 67. He's leading the league in yards after catch. I like guys who make their own points. And sometimes when you play with Jared Goff, damn it, you got to do that. You got to make your own points sometimes because Jared Goff can let you down. He lets everybody down. Cooper Kupp is at 65 and 72, respectively. The run game is now a split again, it looks like. Ugh, that sucks. Don't like that. I can understand the Rams defense, but I will say this. Kyle Allen last year played pretty well to start. Kyle Allen played pretty well. Kyle. So anyway, with Kyle and my South Philadelphia accent. So here's the thing. The wheels fell off last year and the interceptions started to pile up very quickly. But McLaurin's been so steady at 61 and 63. Love the price on him. Gibson is an intriguing, almost free square this week. 5,000 on DK, starting to catch the ball a little bit more. I like it more in the full point PPR with the game script. I would not be shocked to see Antonio Gibson have a good game. I would not be shocked to see Terry McLaurin have a good game. So for me in this one, I think those are two guys you can kind of circle as interesting contrarian plays because I think most people are just going to abandon Washington. But I think those two guys can still be productive and actually return salary.
I'm more confident in Gibson actually than I am McLaurin because McLaurin might, he might draw Ramsey for the majority of that game. So I don't really like that matchup. But going to a new quarterback, you should lean on your run game a little more. So I'm hoping to see a little bit more from Antonio Gibson. And like you said, his price of 5,000 on DK, 5,800 on FanDuel is just too good to pass up. I'm going to have him in a lot of lineups this week.
All right. Obviously, last week we had a lot of Cincinnati love, but this week just can't do it. Not against Baltimore. Cincinnati. Now look, Cincinnati might show up in this one. Joe Burrow's got a different kind of swagger. He's coming off his big victory. He's smoking his cigar. He's cool. I love me some Joe Burrow. Joe Mixon was fantastic last week. T. Higgins has been really good. Just the history tells us that this is not a good matchup for the Bengals defense. And I love Lamar Jackson this week. And the Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews is always that thing we talk about. So Lamar is 79 on DK, 89 on FanDuel. It's cash game play. Mark Andrews is 62 and 75 on FanDuel. Now, here's a fun fact. Gus Edwards actually, Mark, I remember I was talking about like who's seen the most stack boxes so far this year, 8 defenders percentage.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram is 4th, right? And he's averaging somewhere around 3.5 yards per carry. You know who's actually higher than him by a couple percentage points? It's actually Gus Edwards. And you know what? Gus Edwards has a yard more per carry. So
yeah, he's looked good. He's
looked really good. I am getting on the Gus Edwards bus in some season-long leagues wherever I can pick him up. Because so far, of all 3 of these guys, he has looked the best.
And you would think, and this isn't the case, but you would think with Gus Edwards that he's getting all of his carries when Baltimore is up by a ton. But he gets first half carries. They're not all. I think he runs the ball more in the second half. But
now, I can't say you can play this. Like I'm not recommending this. Right. I mean, in a GPP, you want to get strange and like kind of get off the, you want to play Lamar in a GPP. Gus Edwards.
Lamar missed practice on Wednesday with a knee injury. They may not want to run him as much.
Maybe.
So
I don't know. I kind of feel like that's one of those things where you just kind of roll your eyes until Thursday, Friday creeps up. Well, it is. It's like, okay,
Wednesday's a veteran rest day. So I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying is that they should bury Cincinnati in this game and run the ball the entire second half. So that's kind of my thought process there. So yeah, I'm okay with buying Gus Edwards in some deep tournaments or just to try, maybe throw him in a cheap lineup.
We'll put a $5 tournament single entry in there with a Gus Edwards and Lamar Jackson and Andrews, because I think the Ingram one, look, what are the chances of Mark Ingram not getting a touchdown this game? I mean, it's probably going to happen. And I think just playing him, as boring as it sounds, and it's not going to be fun. But, if you get that touchdown on the FanDuel side, it's interesting. However, Gus Edwards is 4K on DK. All of a sudden, that opens up a lot to you that you could do in different stuff. The Ravens defense at 49, I'd rather have the Steelers, to tell you the truth. I feel like the Steelers have a better opportunity here to score some points because I do think Joe Burrow is, going to at least be competitive in this game because that's his nature.
Yeah, and he doesn't. I mean, the interception he threw last week was because it bounced off of Boyd's hands right to Miles Jack. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like it wasn't. It was not on him at all. Burrow's been outstanding this year, and Carson Wentz has, I think, the most turnover-worthy throws in the NFL this year. So yeah, I would go with the Steelers defense over Baltimore this week.
Are you fading Cincinnati all collectively in this game?
I don't want a lot to do with this game. The funny thing is
I want to do with this game. I just don't want the Cincinnati side. And I hope I'm wrong, because as a football fan, I want Cincinnati to go out there and show it to them, but I just history tells us otherwise.
It's just Andrews. That's all I can play, I think, because the running backs are too ugly. I don't want to pay up for Lamar with the knee thing, even though this seems like a good matchup. If he doesn't throw his touchdowns in the first half, I just don't know if he's getting them. That's my problem with Lamar. On the other side, Tyler Boyd gets Marlon Humphrey. I hate that. I like T. Higgins and AJ Green, but
no, you can't. No,
yeah,
AJ Green is lighting money on fire right now. I won't let you do that. Friends won't let friends play AJ Green in DFS anymore.
I mean, look, I'm benching him in my season long, so
me too.
That should be enough for you to not play him in DFS. I just would not be surprised if he came through this week finally, because we've given up on him and he
That's
actually
okay.
has
You know
a
what?
decent
That's fine.
matchup.
Somebody else can
let somebody else win with them. I'm not.
I'd rather keep the $50 worth of entry fees if I'm not. It's not going to happen. Like chances, and if it happens, great. Okay, good, because at least I can turn around my season-long leagues, and all of a sudden that's all hunky-dory again, and I feel good about him. Let's talk about Jacksonville and Houston. So Houston has moved on from their coach, Bill O'Brien, so we'll see what that means for Deshaun Watson and company. I still like Deshaun Watson and Will Fuller, just like I like him every week. You have to understand that there's risk there with Will Fuller. He could have 100 yards and a touchdown, or
that's why he's the same price on DK.
And he always will be. He will always. He's the same price, 66 on both sides. He will never go above 71 ever. If he does, it's because he's had 5 straight games where he's on the field, and that's when he's going to get hurt. But I can't get into the David Johnson or the Duke Johnson business. I hear a lot of people making the Duke Johnson noise. At 41, is that another guy that you would circle, though, on DK in the full point PPR as maybe a responsible punt?
No, I
don't either.
I don't want to do anything with Houston this week when we don't know who's calling plays yet. And Romeo Crennel's the interim head coach. I could see them running the ball 55 times. Like, I just don't know what's going to happen. So I'm avoiding the Texans as a whole until we get at least a 1-game sample size of what the offense does.
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you something. Brother.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Like Gardner Minshew. I'm a fan of Jacksonville in this game. Houston sucks last time I checked. Just because they fired the coach doesn't mean they stopped sucking. All right. So if Minshew is 72 and 62, and you want to get a little different from the Teddy Bridgewater shares you get, I don't think Minshew is the worst idea. I like James Robinson more at 6 and 67, and I like DJ Shark at 65 and 7K. I feel like everyone's just forgotten about how good DJ Shark is, and I don't think Houston has an answer for him.
Yeah, look, I like the Robinson and Shark play, but Minshew has looked terrible 2 weeks in a row.
It's Houston.
I know it's Houston, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Minshew has looked awful. I know he threw for 350 yards last week, but he did not look good doing it. That was all garbage.
Dude, I don't care how he looks doing it. He put up 22 points last week. That's all I care about. You
all
put up 22, you can look ugly.
You can go with Gardner Minshew, but I think that this Texans team might come out and play inspired now that Bill O'Brien is gone, because it's clearly what they wanted.
Yes, nobody inspires faith more than Romeo Crennel. I've been around that.
Okay, but how about just Bill O'Brien being gone, right?
I understand.
That should inspire some faith.
It'll be more fun to lose. I get that.
All right, I'm not in.
You're making my argument for me, because I'll tell you what, if Gardner Minshew is playing from behind, garbage time.
Are you taking Minshew or Bridgewater?
I'm taking Bridgewater, but I'm saying if you want to change out one, when you're doing multi-entry, they're $100 of each other. There's your switch, just to cover your base a little bit. If you want to have the same kind, like, let's say you love everything, but you just, you having trouble sleeping at night, having all of the Teddy Bridgewater. Well, why not have some Gardner Minshew and get a little DJ Shark?
I would go to the
Robinson?
next game. I would go to the next game for a
All right.
quarterback
I
if
feel like
I didn't like
you're
Teddy B.
pushing me to the next game. You like
Well,
the next game? Huh?
I want to talk about Jimmy G over Gardner Minshew. Is what I wanna do.
Oh boy. Okay, go ahead. You tell me. I am off Miami this week, so now that Jimmy Garoppolo is back, you sell me on Jimmy G and this offense against Miami.
Miami's defense is terrible. Jimmy
They
G's
are.
had a couple weeks to rest. He's got Debo back. Ayuk looks
He wasn't
better.
resting.
Kittle
He was
is back.
hurt.
I know he wasn't
wasn't, like,
resting.
Drinking.
Do you think
cocktails
that
on the
matters
beach.
against the Dolphins? Come on, man. You know, the Dolphins defense is miserable. So
Got more
I would
wins than Houston.
Jimmy G is cheaper too than Gardner Minshew on I think both sites. Yeah, both sites he's cheaper. So give me Jimmy G against Miami and save me a couple bucks to bump up something, bump up my defense to Pittsburgh, bump up my tight end to someone a little bit better. My last wide receiver, something. I would rather go with Jimmy G over Gardner Minshew this week, even coming off an injury. So
all right, you're paying up for Kittle to go along with him after the 15 receptions on Sunday night.
in general, I don't want to pay up for one, but the ones that I do like this week to pay up for are Kittle and Darren Waller. Those are the two tight ends that I'd be willing. I mean, I think I like Darren Waller a little bit more because Vegas literally has nothing else. And
That's fair.
There's more to take away from Kittle. I don't think you can go to him 15 times, in a row like they did last week. And I don't think Jimmy G will either. So I would rather pay for Waller, but I like Kittle.
All right, you're getting Mostert back in this game. So how does this mix in with McKinnon? McKinnon's 58 on DK, 64 on FanDuel. Mostert 61 on DK, 65 on FanDuel. You also have Debo back another week now. This is 2 weeks into his return. So are you just going Jimmy G by himself? Are you going Jimmy G and Kittle? Are you going to take a running back? Or are you just going to kind of, just throw it all in there and see what happens?
I'm avoiding everything else in this game. I'm okay. Like Debo and Ayuk are are so cheap that I don't mind throwing them in a lineup, just to see if it pans out. But I don't want anything to do with the running backs. I mean, this is a lot like the Niners or the Patriots situation last week when it was, okay, well, here we go. Here's Sonny Michel is out, and now here's Damian Harris. And we haven't seen him all year, and he gets 17 carries. I don't think that's going to happen to Mostert. I think they ease him in. So just Jimmy G, just Kittle for me.
All right. Speaking of Damian Harris and the Patriots, they're going to host the Denver Broncos, we think. Well, this is another one that's I don't want to waste people's time because I think this one's in jeopardy too. And honestly, without either with no good quarterback play in this game, I really can't tell you. All I know is the Pats defense played a hell of a game, as good as they possibly could, with the exception of one or two missed opportunities of some turnovers that really could have changed the dynamic of that football game, would have shocked the world. But Pat's defense is still good at home. That I can get behind. The rest you can have.
Yeah, I mean, the risk worth taking, if we're going to point that out at all in this game, would be Damiere Byrd, because he keeps getting targets and he's still bottom of the barrel cheap for your Pats. And Jerry Jeudy, because no Stephon Gilmore, I think would be a decent play. But like you said, we're not even sure this game gets played, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it either.
All right, next one here. We got the Indianapolis Colts going to Cleveland. Cleveland's riding high after that huge victory in Dallas on the road. Look, it's now you're going to have Dearness Johnson, who's at 47 on DK and 53. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be buying into that. Is that right or wrong?
You want to hear my song about the Browns this week?
I do. I love a good song.
No Browns.
That's
No
good.
Browns.
That's a good tune. I like that. Yeah.
You go up against the worst defense in the NFL, probably, in what Dallas is doing right now. I'm not saying they don't have the talent. I'm saying they ain't putting it together on the field, right? To what a defense that might be playing the best in the NFL.
No, right. Yeah, I agree.
In the Colts. And I just don't. I think your expectations are going to be too high on any Brown you take. So I will be taking no Browns.
All right. I think that's fair. And I got to be honest with you, I don't have much love for the Indianapolis offense. I told you last week, the only thing I like is Mo Alley-Cox. Also, by the way, he is the number one tight end in yards after catch. How about that so far this year? You like that little stat?
Does he have 7 catches, Mo Alley Cox? I know he has
Don't
4
care.
touchdowns.
Scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
And this is another converted basketball player too. Like this is another dude that like played basketball, like kind of like Antonio Gates. You feel like, this is just kind of falling into place for him. But at 4,200 on DK, hey, it's not terrible.
Phillip Rivers looks miserable. Like,
He is,
I don't want any part of this game.
No, and it's a shame because Jonathan Taylor's getting a ton of opportunity, but ever since week 1 had to be the weirdest thing. Nyheim Hines is great.
Don't even get me
Marlon
started.
Mack gets hurt. Jonathan Taylor's catching balls. It was the most bizarre week 1 ever. And ever since, none of those things have happened.
Nyheim Hines makes me physically mad. I don't understand the response my body does when I think about him. Cause I was so out on him. He averaged 6 touches a game last year. And then this year with Jonathan Taylor added into Marlon Mack, he just gets touchdown run week 1. And then Marlon Mack gets hurt and he disappears again. What the hell is happening? I don't know what it is. So no thanks. I think this is going to be a game to play the under for this week for sure.
All right. Well, and if you want to know the unders and the overs, make sure you listen to the wagering show with me and Scott Bogman right here at LineStar. Comes out tomorrow on Friday program. That way, all right, one more to do here before we start taking shots at the end zone. And speaking of shots at the end zone, oh boy, the New York Giants are going to travel to Dallas. Before I even get into Dallas, I'm just going to ask this question. Can the Giants, the lowly Giants, Daniel Jones went from a 20-point quarterback to a 10-point quarterback ever since Saquon went out. Can they muster offense against this terrible Dallas defense?
I think anybody can play offense against this.
All right. So that being said, I agree, but I'm going to be very careful. Evan Ingram at 46 and 55, I will take. Darius Slayton at 48 and 58, I will take. I will not take Daniel Jones because I'm afraid of the turnovers. I will not take Devontae Freeman because I'm just not sold on it. That's my approach to the Giants. Those 2 guys, and that's it. I will dip my feet in the water, maybe 2 toes, and those toes named Ingram and Darius Slayton.
You're missing 1 toe there, Rex Ryan. It's Danny Dimes.
No, too many turnovers. That guy's a fumble machine.
What? They're not going to go to Colt McCoy ever. I mean, look, Danny Dimes had worse numbers than Haskins and for this year, and Haskins replaced and Danny Dimes not getting threatened at all. I don't know why, but I think
because Trevor Lawrence is on the way. That's why.
Well, yeah. No, just shut up and let him play. All right, we're fine. We'll take care. But no, man, I'm okay with Danny Dimes. I picked him as a I'll get him in at least 2 lineups this week just to see if it pans out.
All right, there you have it. All right, let's go over to Dallas. Dak Prescott, obviously, I mean, there's no way he can't be in play. Giants defense isn't great either. 8,700 for him on FanDuel, 74 on DK. The score with Amari Cooper. I like it more on DK than on FanDuel just because of the full point PPR. He's so locked in. He's averaging 22 points in the full point PPR, just 16 and a half because he's not getting the touchdown. So just as if you're going to be moving back and forth, I'd rather play CD Lamb on FanDuel at 50 than Amari Cooper at 78. And then the inverse is true. I'd rather pay up and get the definitive points for Amari Cooper on DK and then, let CD Lamb go away. Dalton Schultz at 48 and 53 on the sites too. And of course, Michael Gallup. Let's not forget about him, even though it seems like he's the forgotten man, 54 and 57. So how do you attack them Cowboys this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's in play here. They're just the Giants are bad. We know the Cowboys defense isn't going to stop anyone. So I think that everyone is in play this week, wholly and completely on the Cowboys side. I don't have an argument against anyone here. You want to roll Zeke out or Dak or CD or Gallup? Schultz a little banged up. I think the only thing I'm definitely not rolling out is the Cowboys defense for anything. So
there you go. All right. So it's that time again, boys and girls. It's time to find the end zone. Bogman and I are going to go head to head, and you can get involved and win some free swag. Go follow us on the LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. Retweet and like this segment, and a random drawing. We'll put it in like one of those old school bingo things, and we'll tumble it around. Somebody's going to come out for Bogman and for me, and we are going to be playing for you. So I need to pick things up. I'm drawing a line in the sand. So I already know who you're running back in. So this is my week. No one can take it away from me. So Boggs, who are you going with your running back to score a touchdown this week? Who's your guy?
It's Mike Davis. I said Mike
Yeah,
Davis
I know,
for Carolina.
and that was going to be mine, which, by the
Was
way,
it really?
yeah, it was. But me and Boggs being on the same guy like this, that tells you everything. Mike Davis, and then some more Mike Davis when you're done with Mike Davis, and then maybe Mike Davis after dinner drink. For me, I'm going to go with James. Davis. I'm going to go with James Conner and stick it to him because he's a Steelers fan right here, and I'm going to go with my boy James Conner. All right, for wide receiver, you know what? I'm going to buck the trend. You say DeAndre Hopkins isn't healthy. I say it's the Jets, and it doesn't matter. Give me Hopkins to score a touchdown. Hopkins and Conner are my guys. Who's your wide receiver?
I'm going to go to the same Pittsburgh game, but I'm going to take Juju. Like I said, he's going to be.
That was my other one. Oh,
he's
boy.
In the slot most of the time.
Today. Whoa, look at us. Whoa.
he's in the slot. He shouldn't be drawing Darius Slay. So I'm going with Juju for Pittsburgh to score this week, too. So Davis and Juju for me.
That is always very dangerous when Bogman and I are basically in on the same guys. That tells you a lot. Get them in your lineups. Once again, you don't try to reinvent the wheel here with the NFL. You know who these guys are. You know, like there's going to be one little one-off here and there. We've identified some of those guys on the podcast. We've talked about some free squares like Zacchaeus and Antonio Gibson, some guys who have some upside on DK and FanDuel. Get those guys in sparingly, but go get the points. The points are going to be out there. It's a very weird week at running back, as we talked about. Go get the Kyler Murrays. I'm telling you, go get the big-time quarterbacks. I think it's going to be a week for that. And look, even conversely, if you don't want to do that and you want to go down to the Bridgewater group of quarterbacks, okay, go pay up for tight end. Go pay up for Waller. Go pay up for Andrews, maybe Kittle. That's how you're going to win this week. I'm telling you, it's going to be one of those two things, if not both, coming out. So that'll do it for us. Make sure you follow us on the Twitter machine at Bogman Sports, at Joe Pisapia 17, at LineStar App, and at LineStar NFL. Make sure you subscribe your podcast, and make sure you go get that LineStar app and upgrade to the premium product today because it's awesome, and so are we. So that'll do it for us. There's nothing left to do now except down, set, win.
You've been listening to the PreSnap podcast brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, drop a review, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy football experts Joe Pisapia and Scott Bogman.